Guys, welcome to the program. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. From Evie Magazine, is it women's fault men don't approach anymore? And of course, I titled this, Young Women Get It, Young Men Still Don't Care. Evie is one of those interesting websites / magazine. They just started a magazine print where most of the women that write for this are conservative leaning, although I don't think true conservative women really exist anymore, but they're young, pretty women that do advise girls to wait until marriage, or at least wait until you're in love, and then that's maybe a guy that you should be with, and that sleeping around will damage you, and feminism is a bad thing. They do at least say the right things. This is a new article that came out just a couple of days ago, and they're saying, look, the youngest generation of women are not the ones that hate you. They're not the rabid feminists. Young women are different today. And so you should flirt with women and you should talk to them. And women want you to put in some effort other than just being on the dating apps. I'll quickly summarize this because it is a very, very long article. But they basically go through and they say, hey, in 2010, yes, there was manspreading that women complained about and mansplaining. And yes, women didn't like men being chivalrous and opening doors for them and helping them carry things. These women hated that. They also came out with the Also Me movement and went way too far with it. And they're also the ones that destroyed Title IX by getting in colleges and getting on the administration board of colleges. And then when a woman said one of the college guys did a bad thing, they didn't give him a chance to defend himself, and they just said, nope, out you go. You still owe your school loans and you still owe your tuition, but you're not going to get a degree and you can't go to college here. And then they shamed his name. The young women today are saying, and this is Evie's article's argument, well, we're not the women that did that to men. It's not our fault. You guys should come back to the fold. And they admit that the manosphere and red pill content and even the incel subculture came about because of women's overreaction to feminism or overreaction with feminism against men. As a matter of fact, they even go so far as to say, hey, 45% of men age 18 to 45, they've never approached a woman in person. And this is a problem. We women want you to talk to us. We want you to flirt and take us out for dates and buy us flowers. Do all the nice things you used to do. Young women in their 20s aren't, it's not our fault. Please stop being like this. They even go on to say, research bears this out. 75% of women under the age of 25 and 77% of women aged 18 to 30 express a strong desire to be approached more often. They go down here and they have a couple of videos. I'm going to play these videos, and this is the example they're saying. They're saying, look, here's some examples of young women today kind of freaking out that guys aren't even approaching them, looking at them, or paying attention to them. The first one I have is from a Brian Atlas here. Listen to what... I'm going to play all three, and then I'm going to kind of do a summary of all three videos.
Tell me why every day I go out looking adorable, tits bouncing, skin glistening, and yet nobody ever hits on me or approaches me. Ever. Oh my God, like, please. I'll take a fucking construction worker catcall at this point. Please.
That's number one. Number two is this woman after a night out at the pub club.
I better pay attention to me tonight. I'm so sick of this shit.
Oh my God.
Touch a boob, buy a drink. I mean, it's like very fucking simple.
And of course, lastly, now this one I can't play all the way through because they start some music, so I'm going to read most of this one.
I'm having dinner with my girl, and I want y'all to just notice something.
Okay, here's where the music starts, and I can't play the rest of it. For those of you just listening, it's kind of loud, but she says, having dinner with my girl, and I want y'all to just notice something. And then below that, it says, serious question, what's going on in the dating world? And she pans her camera around. They're in a relatively nice restaurant. And this is what she says. There's women and women and women, and three more women over here, and a woman over there, and women and more women, and women and women and women. That's what she says. All women. She says, oh my gosh, I don't normally go out. But when I go out with my girls, I'm seeing a trend. Girls are all going out with their girlfriend. There's not like one date in the restaurant. There's something that's very critical that women are not understanding. The young women that are complaining about men not flirting with them, men not hitting on them, men not interacting with them, they've forgotten a very key element in all of this. You haven't changed any. The young women today haven't changed any. That's the first thing. So no, you, the youngest generation, 10 or 15 years ago, they were still in school. Like they hadn't graduated. They weren't out in the dating world. They weren't participating, and they weren't in the work world either. So they said, hey, none of this messaging is ours. So no, you may not complain about mansplaining. You may not complain about manspreading. You may not be participating in the Title IX or even the Also Me movements. That part is true, and these women were young enough. They didn't have any control. They didn't have any influence on the market. That much is all correct. But there's a bad, bad problem that Evie is not recognizing, and the women over at Evie Magazine, they're not recognizing one simple fact. You women haven't improved any. You haven't changed any. The older millennials and the younger millennials, and maybe the oldest of Gen Z, while these women came out and they hated on men for absolutely everything, the other thing they did is they came out with the 90-10 dating. It used to be 80-20. Now it's probably closer to 95-5. They're all only wanting the hot guys. They're only chasing the hot guys. That hasn't changed for this younger generation. Look, I guarantee you that if there's a 35 or a 30, I don't know how old this gal is here. If there's a 30-year-old guy and he's an average guy, you know, on the same looks level as this woman, and he's walking by and he says, hey, how are you today? She's going to say, ew, stay away from me, creep. She doesn't want the attention. Well, they'll take the attention from average guys because it inflates their ego. You notice none of these women were complaining they don't have a boyfriend, they're not dating, they're not able to get laid. None of them are complaining about that. They're complaining about the lack of attention. She says, hey, I'd even take a wolf whistle or a cat call from a construction guy, as if that's a bad thing. That a construction worker talked to me. Ew. Well, I mean, I'd still take it, but ew, just no. That is the whole vibe she gets off. So really, it's not about the dating. It's about the attention. Same thing with this woman. Pay attention to me. Buy me a drink. Grab a boob. Do something. Well, that's not a way to get a boyfriend. That's not a way to start a relationship. What is she actually saying? A, pay attention to me. I want to feel like I look pretty tonight. I put on this nice dress. Let me fast forward it to her face here where she's closer to it. She says, look, and I'm going to say she's not unattractive. I don't know how old she is, but she's not an unattractive woman. You know, she kind of looks like Melania Trump, actually, a little bit. She's not an unattractive woman. So when she says, pay attention to me, grab a boob, buy a drink, what is she actually saying? Validate me. Let me know I still am pretty. Let me know I'm still good looking. Let me know men still want me. Fill that narcissistic meter that I have in my soul, because I'm tired of getting dressed and going out and looking pretty and not getting the validation I want. So then she goes home at the end of the night. She messages an ex or hooks up with some rando dude on Tinder that's good looking, that will smash and then pass on her. And then after that, she says, oh, I'm still desirable. I'm still pretty. This 8 guy or 9 guy just came over, folded me up like origami, had his way with me, and then left. Oh, I must still be attractive to 9s and 10s. Not realizing that guy just wanted to get laid, and she passed the bill. This woman here is noticing the trend, but you do notice that she is also out with a female friend. They're all women. Women spend 85% of the money on things. You know, if you look at the marketing, all the marketing is always towards women, because women will pay for that extra for the brand. You know, men will use the same bar of soap to wash from head to toe with the same washcloth, and women will go out there and they buy special hair care product and body lotion and armpit this and foot that and all the other things, and they'll spend $800 on skin products, where a guy will buy a $3 bar of soap and call it a day. Women will spend the money. Well, they overspend on doing things like this, going to these nice fancy restaurants and getting dressed up and feeling good about themselves. This is what women do. There's no group of guys there, at least straight guys, because guys don't spend money on this. They say, oh, I'd rather sit on my porch and watch the deer wandering around out in the woods while I sit on the patio sipping a 6-pack with one of my buddies. Or for the city guys, they say, we'll join a pool league or a dart league, or we'll go to a whiskey bar or some place that's less expensive, not quite foofy like this. But what she is noticing, there's no guys here taking women out on dates. It's because the women haven't changed. Women are still only smashing the top 10% of men, and the bottom 90% of men they want nothing to do with. So the top 10% of men don't have to take a woman here. They have a list of women that are willing to come over and just smash because they're good looking. And the bottom 90% of guys say, why would I take a woman out? It doesn't get me anywhere. I'll just get used for drinks or food, get used for my money. I'm not going to get a girlfriend out of it. I'm not going to date out of it. I'm not going to get laid out of it. I'm just wasting my time. So as much as Evie likes to say, well, it's not the young women's fault. The older women did all the mansplaining and Title IX stuff and the Also Me movement. That's not us. Yes, but you haven't changed any. You're still entitled. You're still narcissistic. You're still selfish. You still don't want anything to do with a bottom tier of men. Yeah, you'll take the validation. And yes, it'll fill your narcissistic meter, but you still don't want anything to do with the average guy out there. That hasn't changed, and men still realize this. Why would men go out of their way to put themselves in an embarrassing or awkward situation or someplace they might get blamed for doing something just by, she says, oh, buy a drink and grab a boob. Okay, I guarantee you if I'm standing next to her in a bar and I reach out and I grab her and I offer her a drink, not only am I getting escorted out the bar, I'm probably going to go to jail. But if some, I don't know, Henry Cavill or I don't know much about movie stars today, but some young, very good-looking, attractive guy reached out and did it, she'd probably be shagging him in the bathroom. Men that are average know this is a game. They know you want the validation. They know you want the attention, but you would never have anything to do with us. That's why the guys have not changed. They're still avoiding all of this. They go through and give lots and lots and lots of different examples, and most of the men's replies to this are, yes, but you haven't changed. You're still the same. You still don't want anything to do with us if we're not the right guy. And even they themselves admit the guys aren't having it. The young men or even older guys, they want no part of this because they know it's not going to work out well for them. The guys have just given up wisely because the women haven't changed. I mean, here's a perfect article that explains all of this. This is posted in Women on Reddit, and this is from, I think, about a week ago. No good single men left, and stop trying to convince me otherwise. Can we just collectively vent for a moment? There are no good single men left. I don't care what ChatGPT tells me. I don't believe they're out there. In other words, she asked AI, what percentage of men are single? Where do they hang out? Where are they hiding? ChatGPT's like, there's men all over the place. Lots of single men. 50%, 60% of men are single in your age bracket. Go find them. And even she's like, nah, but they're not good enough. They don't count. She said, I've been single for 3 years. I haven't found a single man that meets my standards. I'm literally just a normal person with a good heart. I'm 32, living on my own. I'm close with my friends and family. So she's saying she's a normal person, 32 years old, living on their own. How many men out there are a normal person, 32, living on their own, that probably looks match her? I'm guessing in probably around her, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, if she lives in a city. She continues, it's really not that hard to court a woman. It's not that hard to show some basic respect. It's not hard to provide the bare minimum. Men these days make you feel like you're asking for too much when you just want the basic requirements for a healthy relationship. How many more self-created incels will there be before men wake up? We're not shrinking to their level. We're not tolerating this. This isn't the 1940s. And she finishes with, thoughts. The men that you're dating, the men that you're seeing, the men that you're sleeping with, they're not going to give you the basic requirements for a healthy relationship. They don't need to. They sleep with you and they do the hardware store. They screw, they nut, they bolt. The guys that would give you a healthy relationship, the guys that would meet those basic needs, They're the uglies you want nothing to do with. They're the poors that maybe have a blue-collar job instead of a 4-year liberal arts degree. You don't want anything to do with them. And this is the woman that Evie Magazine says, why aren't these men coming back to date? Why aren't they flirting? Why aren't they? Because you don't want us to. You still don't. Lastly, I'll leave it with this, and this is a perfect example of what's going on. This is the next generation of young people that Evie Magazine says, well, guys, why aren't you asking them out? Why aren't you going out on dates with them? Now, maybe this is an extreme example, but nonetheless, it is an example anyway. This is a young Instagram /rapper /something that became popular around the age of 9 for rapping and doing other weird things. And her name is Lil Tay, and her TikTok is Lil Tay be poppin', I guess. She looks like every average Thai /Filipino chick I saw when I was overseas in Southeast Asia. There's nothing amazing about her. There's nothing dramatic about her, but she became very popular for, I guess, hip-hop rapping at 9. I don't know how many guys are out there listening to it, but they did nonetheless. And her T-shirt, this was posted before the age of legality, which I think nowadays is around 18, depending on your country. It says, star in training. This is the young generation coming up that Evie Magazine expects us to ask out. Now, of course, at 12:03 on her birthday, she dropped out a ton of videos and a ton of photos of her on OnlyFools. And within 3 hours, she made $1 million. Men today are a big part of this problem. I'm not going to even lie about that. But when men need an outlet for their needs, instead of having a girlfriend that they take out, when they're a young person, maybe in high school or in college, instead of going out with a girl, going out maybe to a pub or something and shagging her in the back seat of the car, or taking her back to the dorm rooms or whatever, guys they still have that drive. They still want to get the release, as it were, but they can't interact with these women. So they're doing the next best thing and making them millionaires by checking out their content. This is a horrible problem, and I don't know how we're going to correct it, but it is creating a very, very broken society underlying it. And the reason why I specifically bring out this one is because men at this point in time are so messed up and so broken by not being able to have these relationships that the guys are becoming weird and watching this kind of content because they want to have some sort of interaction with women. And in the meantime, women are becoming weird and broken because they're just getting turned out by the same top 10% of guys. And they're at the age of 30 or 35, usually single moms, are completely broken or high body count, and they're completely undateable. We've just got this where the two will never meet again, is what it feels like, and we're just breaking down. I don't know who's going to correct this, but if this is our next millionaire because she goes viral, where are we? Like, how bad is this? We've got to be in some sort of broken society when young men are so thirsty and desperate. They're making women like this millionaires in 3 hours. And women are turning to this instead of finding a guy, instead of finding a relationship, instead of being normal. So many of them see this story and they say, well, when I turn 18 or next year or whatever, I'm going to sign up because I want to be rich too. And all I have to do is take photos of myself without anything on. And if you think it's all about the money and it's not about the validation, just go over to Reddit, type in NSFW, and you're going to see women doing it for free, taking photos, putting up videos, and they're doing it for likes. They're not even making money off of it. Now, they may be advertising some of their other content, but you can still find it for free, and a lot of the girls just do it for likes, post after post after post. So yes, young men are broken. Young women are broken. And as they age, they become broken adults. And then when you look around and you say, Why are the airlines failing? Why are we getting more accidents with aircraft? Why are there fights breaking out in McDonald's every 15 minutes? Why are people not spending their money wisely, and they're broke, or they're living in their car? We're just not adulting. We're not just being adults anymore. Adulting. I said it. A lot of people hate that word. I'm one of them. But people are not growing up. They're not becoming mature. They're not making the right decisions because they're all caught up in all this nonsense. I don't know where we go from here, but it's not good. I can tell you that much. Until the younger generation changes, men are not going to change. Men still see the juice is not worth the squeeze. They're not going to validate these women, and they're not going to ask them out. They're not going to flirt. They're not going to buy them drinks. We're not going to talk to you because what you give us isn't worth it. It's broken, just like this youngest generation is still broken. The women still have not learned anything. Guys, if you are over on Rumble or you're over on YouTube, make sure to come over to betterbachelor.locals.com. Links are down below. We got a great group of like thousands of like-minded dudes over there. It's a great community. We do movie nights. We do videos that I don't put on any other channels. It's just locals only stuff. And it's a good community where we discuss things like this, things like employment, stock market. We talk about camping, about living on your own, about building your own home. It's not about the women. It's about a community of men. They have a bunch of great things we talk about, and it's about helping each other and being a support group for that community of guys. So come on over and check it out. I think you'll be glad you did. I'm going to do a dating profile of the day for locals. You can't see it, so make sure to become a local supporter today.